All right, we're here with Bellevue West head football coach Mike Huffman. Coach, another great season. Obviously, you guys came up short where you want to be, but talk about your year and then kind of what your team looks like going forward.
You know, we were excited about our year. I know a lot of people, you know, when you don't win a state title, including myself, you're like, oh man, this year was shot. You know, and it took my third grade son and said, Dad, you won 10 games. There's a lot of teams that would love to win 10 games. So you got to step back and look at it like that. And you know, I was out for a walk this afternoon. You know, you got 65 degrees in February. You got to take advantage of it. And I was thinking about visiting with you guys. And, you know, the big difference of last year, we've played in a lot of big games now in the last 9 years. And in those games, it comes down to like 5 or 6, 7 snaps is it. And then you have to figure out how to win those downs. And, you know, Westside won more of those downs in that semifinal. The rest of the game is really a push. You know, they had some really big plays by some of their better players and some guys that stepped up that night that we hadn't seen before. And then earlier in the year, the other lost to Millard South. You know, Gage Stenger was the best player on the field. And I got off, you know, getting roughed up, and I called Barrett Root and I called Eric Chenander and said, you guys got to find a spot for this kid because I know he doesn't care if he plays offense or defense. And they started looking at more film, and next thing you know, they gave an offer. Because that's important to me. I want kids from this area to have more choices. I'm excited about this year, but back to my point, I got to see how these guys are going to step up in the big downs. I really like the quarterback play. I think Danny Kalen's wise beyond his years. He got a ton of reps last year. The first 5 games, we split time with the senior quarterback. And then I did make the choice to go with the senior. You know, so he's got way more playing experience than most. Davon's been playing since his freshman year, you know, so he's got a lot of snaps in. And then the rest of them, TK, Kyrell, and then Gio, they've played a ton of snaps, and it's their time to shine. And then the 2 young bucks, Asher, Jenkins, and Aiden, I think they're going to be big-time players because they have size and length already as 10th graders.
You've had to manage a lot of talent. I mean, that situation at quarterback, I mean, had to be one of the more challenging things. I mean, you got a guy with Power 5 offers at quarterback, and you had a veteran guy that was still maybe had the leg up. I mean, how did you manage that? And I'm sure Danny, you know, to handle that, I mean, that's really been a good test for him to kind of wait for this moment.
Yeah, he's been nothing but impressive since the first day we saw him. Like, he is such a student of the game. You know what, the decision-making was very difficult. We started off, we were going Luke Johansson 3 series, Danny 1, but Danny was playing so well it went to 2-2. And it continued that way. What ultimately was my final decision where I decided to go with Luke full-time was that the team needed someone that in the crunch time to look to as a leader. And Luke was better, had a little bit better pocket mobility. You know, everybody wants to know what they need to work off in the offseason. One of your guys' questions to the coaches, what do you think about these off-site training and all this different stuff that they do? And we don't care if they do those things as long as it's in addition to, not instead of our stuff. But I said, Danny, I could care less if you do anything throwing the ball. You need to work on your pocket mobility, getting out of there, and it's okay to get 3 or 4 yards and slide instead of taking a sack and being 2nd and 14. And man, he's worked his tail off on that. He showed me videos of some of the stuff he's been doing. I call him with the gurus, right? So he is going to be special. He is very, very cerebral. We're adding some things to our package with RPO. We've always had some elements of RPOs and gift routes, but it's going to be a lot higher because I trust Dan. You know, in the past, when I've tried to do those things, the quarterbacks just wanted to throw it. It can't be that way, man. If the numbers in the box are correct, okay, you need to run the ball because it is the best and safest way to move the football. And Gio's good. Okay, Gio's a football player. Everybody forgets, but he actually started when he was in 10th grader over LJ. And unfortunately had a season-ending injury. And then LJ Richardson took off going to Wyoming. You know, so it's not like, you know, some slouch was playing in front of him. He's a good back. He reminds me a lot of Javon Ducker. His vision, his movement we run in our zone package quite a bit. He reads those holes well. So I'm excited to see what these guys can do.
Yeah, and you know, Davon Hall, you've got a lot of great skill players. I mean, I would say Keegan's kind of the standard of what you've had. I mean, how would you say Davon is compared to some of the great ones you've had, and what do you see for him the next 2 years?
I will tell you, as a 10th grader, finishing up his 10th grade year, he is the most gifted in that aspect. If you go look at him physically, the other kids, I still giggle. I'll see a film of Xavier Betts when he was in 10th grade, and he's like 160 pounds soaking wet. I'm like, how did you make it through this? But he was so fast. Davon's just as fast. He needs to play that fast. Keegan was the most physical. Davon can do that as well. I am toying with the idea, and I have not done this since 2014 with CJ Johnson. I'm toying with making him solely the backside receiver. So defenses have to bring their backside safety over there, and if they don't, then you're one-on-one. There's very few teams that have corners that I feel can, especially with the different route concepts that we run, that will be able to shut him down. Because, man, you make a mistake back there, that's a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? That's not a first down. So I'm not there yet, because our other receivers are pretty good too. And I like the idea of other kids getting great opportunities. You had mentioned we share the ball a lot at our place. And that's one of the things the college coaches like. They don't have to worry about some kid coming in, I got to have this amount of touches, because they don't get that at our place. That's why they all try to score every time they get the ball.
Yeah, and colleges, do you have a lot of action in January? A lot of teams?
It was really busy. I always call recruiting a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because we have players that are good enough that people want to see, but every waking hour is taken, and I'm walking around like a zombie by the end of that. But what some of these schools still don't get is this isn't Texas. I still teach, and I'm a PE teacher, but I still have to be responsible for a class of kids. You can't just come in whenever you want to. And I don't remember who it was. It might have been Liberty, or it might have been Memphis. What do you mean you got class? You didn't have your football workouts and done for the day? No, I got 2 team sports classes and a couple other weights classes, but it's been fun. And having guys go all over the place. With Iowa State took Glance out of Iowa Western, so I'm really excited about that.
Let's talk about Kyrell Jordan, just kind of one take on him and what he brings to the table.
Kyrell Jordan is absolutely electric. If it wasn't for his size, I think there would be people all over him. Missouri made the comment, not about Kyrell, but you can have some exceptions in your room. You just can't have a room full of exceptions. So I'm hoping with a great year like he had last year, he can maybe sneak up into the Missouri Valley out of South Dakota State, because he can score every time he touches the ball. And then he's also tough enough. He's a very good corner for us as well. He plays both ways for us.
And then TK Barnett.
TK is very similar. He's not as fast, but he's a little bit undersized. But he's a kid that you throw out to a one-on-one screen to, and that corner's not tackling him. So he has this elusiveness from all of his basketball background. He's another kid that plays 2 ways for us. He plays wide receiver, and he also plays corner for us.
And then Aiden Morris.
Aiden Morris is a transfer from Fort Calhoun. He came last year after the deadline, so he had to play JV ball. He's got unbelievable length, and he's tough. So he's going to be playing tight end for us and maybe some defensive end, depends on what some other kids. I am a big proponent of kids playing one way, because I think they can give us everything they need and then become masters of that position. So I'm not sure if he's going to be a tight end or if he's going to be a D end, but he's going to be out there raising some cane.
And then Ashton Jenkins.
Asher Jenkins is the guy that I've showed every Power 5 guy that comes through. He is the younger brother of our defensive end, Arden Jenkins. Has all the same hip hop, strength. He ran a 50 as a freshman in the state track meet last year. His flying 10 times are similar to LJ Richardson's at this time last year, and LJ ended up running a 10.84 at the state track meet. So I think Asher is going to be a 10.9 guy. We just can't figure out if he's a safety or if he's an outside linebacker. So right now we're playing him at safety. I told him, this is 100% truth, man. I go, if you hit people this year, you're going to go to college for free. That's all there is to it. And if you told me that, I'd be hitting people in the grocery store, right? And then, probably Dontrell Ducker's going to have to come arrest me. But that's what it is. Asher's going to be super special, man, because he is fast.
All right. Well, hey, Coach, we appreciate the time and you guys coming out here today.
You bet. Love it.